I have some of you registered, some are not registered. If you'd like to be registered, I have to add you to the email distribution list. It is different than last time. Let me preface that and say it is different than last time. We condensed a few things. We're trying to streamline some things and give it a whirl. But we're glad you're here because we see family discipleship as a really significant way to resource and help you equip to have conversations in your house about the Bible and about Scripture and what it means to be a follower of Christ. So we're really grateful that you're here. Matthew passed out kind of the how-to guide. After today's meeting, I'm going to be sending you an email, so you'll also have a digital copy of it. So if it ends up in the trash, it's not going to hurt my feelings, but you now have a digital copy. One of the other things you can be aware of is based on some recommendations from last go around. Some people like a printed version of the study. So we'll have weekly handouts. You're still going to get the same email. This is the exact same thing that you'll get in the email that you get on this paper. So if you want one of those copies before you leave today, you may get a head start before other families. That's on you. I'll let you decide. But you'll get both if you want both, and that's totally cool. More is better. But essentially the heartbeat is we are going to be sending a weekly email out from October 5th to November 16th. Our plans to wrap up November 16th, right before the Thanksgiving holiday. It's just too much to kind of hold everyone accountable to do a lot of things right around Thanksgiving and Christmas season. But really the heartbeat is there are like 5 things we really want you to take away from this, and I'll walk you through the email after I run through this. 1, set aside a time to gather with your family. Now you can decide if you want to split that up or do it in one segment. It's completely your call. Some weeks you're going to have longer scripture readings than others. This week you only have 13 verses, so it's pretty easy. But that will be something that you decide. In that first family gathering, you will also make a team name for yourself, and you'll submit that on your first weekly quiz. So you'll want to use that team name throughout the submission. We'll get to the weekly quiz. It's partly my favorite part, but it's been some of the kids' favorite part too. So really the time when you set aside to gather, you're going to read and discuss the Bible passages together. You're going to talk through the discussion questions as a family. One of the things you might want to do as parents is review the passage in advance just to adjust it for some age needs, right? Like sometimes kids are not going to understand what transgressions are, but they'll understand what sin is. So one of the things that we have taken away is we're also going to include a summary of that passage below. So it's kind of a quick glance at a 360 view of everything that you're getting ready to cover in Scripture, but you have that as an additional resource too. And then we're going to encourage you to set aside time to pray together. There's going to be a prayer prompt at the end of the email, one for the kids, one for the parents. So you can choose to use that, or you can designate your own time. We're giving you freedom in this. We're just trying to equip you with resources. What you do with it is what you do with it. But we just want to make sure it's an easier guide for parents. But we want families to set aside intentional time to be praying for each other, but also to continue to grow as a family unit. One of the things that we did last cycle that we're really going to push a little bit harder on this cycle is verse memorization. So for this first pass, we're going to be memorizing the first 6 verses of Psalm 51. We're going to be talking about David's life. Ironically, the kids are also starting it just like the adults will be. I know we had to change off in what was taught today, but we've been walking through 2 Samuel as a body of believers, but the kids in the back today actually have just started talking about King David. So this is going to kind of walk through David's life through the next 6 weeks. With these verse memorization pieces, one of the things that we are going to ask is that you'll get it every 2 weeks, you'll get a new verse. The end of that second week, like that'll be October 9th, November 2nd, and November 16th, you'll find either Matthew or myself and you'll have your family recite the verse to get points for that week. So you'll have 3 kind of check-in points with us that you'll recite these verses at. So like the first 2 weeks, you'll do verses 1 and 2. The second week, you'll do verses 3 and 4. That third section, you'll do 5 and 6. But you have to check in with us in order to get points for that verse memorization. And then we have a quiz that's at the bottom of the email. In order to get points for this, yes, it is a point system. You take a quiz before a midnight time setting on that Sunday to get points. There's 10 questions. There are going to be 2 questions that we repeat each week. It's just a checkpoint to hold accountable, but then also it's going to be some basic questions. Now, in these quizzes, we're asking questions that anyone should be able to answer. Definitely let the kids answer first, but if you need to make adjustments as parents, you definitely can before you submit that, right? So that's one thing we will do. But those weekly quizzes are due every night at midnight. So that's really part of it. One of the other plans is to kind of just show you at quick glance what an email is going to look like from week to week. And so for week 1, this is October 5th through the 12th. That's the key passage highlighted in orange. There's a summary of what that is. And then there are specific questions. We've delegated these into preschool and younger kids. If you need to use younger kids, you use what you do. Like, you can adapt this how you would like. There's also a biblical truth question, and I give you the answer. And then the older kids and youth, there's about 5 questions that they'll walk through together, and you just sit in as a family. It's going to be key. Why is this important? Not how did you feel about it, but how are we talking about God in Scripture, right? Like that there is an emphasis on biblical truth in that. And then memorizing Scripture, there are the first 2 verses, and then it's delegated out for kids with older families. There's a challenge that you can do. For kids with younger kids, if you have to change some of the words, like transgressions, you can use the word sin, right? Like, we're trying to make this as adaptable as possible. And then there's prayer time. So the kids have a simple prayer and the parents have a prayer. Now, you can use this or you can use your own. We're not telling you have to do this, but the thing that we will hold you accountable in is taking this quiz here. And that quiz link is live every time you get the email. I'm going to be sending these out probably later on Sunday evenings. So you'll have content available Sunday evening through Sunday evening. So that's kind of what we'll go through there. The reason we need you to register is so we can add you to the email distribution list, so you can get a digital copy of it, so we can get points counted for that. But that's essentially what this is going to walk through. And again, we'll send out an email kind of walking through what I just did. Travis is recording a link and we'll have it. So everything that we've talked and discussed about today in this context will be available too. Any questions? Yes.
Am I registered?
Yes, you are. You're on my list. I actually have you on the list, so you're good.
How do we register?
How do you register? We can send you the link to our planning center, and all you have to do, or if you wanted to, I can connect with you and you can just give me your email and I'll add you to the list.
Perfect.
Yeah, we can do that. If you want to write it down something, I can get you a pen too. So.
Did you mention there's a prize?
There is a prize. So we are incentivizing this. If you complete all of these things, there is a prize for everybody in the family.
A cool prize.
A cool prize. Not just any prize, but a cool prize.
So the gift is not just knowledge.
It's not just knowledge. We may not be able to incentivize it every time, but we're just trying to better resource families to have some of these conversations at home. And I think sometimes when you hear child discipleship, that's really intimidating, but it's wanting to provide a resource to help equip families to have just more intentional conversations that are around the Bible, spending time together as a family in the Bible, but really just instilling biblical truth. Barna gives out a lot of church facts and data, and a lot of what continues, they see trends that if kids are discipled well at the home and in the church, they have a longer lasting faith. And that is the desire of East River Park, is to continue to partner alongside of you all. And we see this as one way to help resource what you're doing at home. So, will we get it perfectly? No, but is it going to be something where your family's spending time in scripture together and praying for each other? Yeah. And those things really do help equip and move forward on all of that. So, yeah, that's all I got.